Angela Price hadn't been on a date in 4 years. At 38, she wasn't bitter about love, but she had grown wary of it. Her last relationship had ended quietly, dissolving into the background noise of a busy life filled with work deadlines, school pickups, and solo wine nights with reruns of Scandal playing in the background. She was a mother first, a marketing director second, and a woman somewhere much further down the list. Until one Friday evening, something shifted. It had been a particularly exhausting week. Her 11-year-old son, Marcus, had come home with a stomach bug that left Angela scrubbing vomit out of the carpet at 3 a.m. She hadn't slept in days, her inbox was overflowing, and the loneliness she usually managed to silence had started whispering louder than usual. That night, after putting Marcus to bed and pouring herself a glass of red wine, she opened her laptop and stared at the tab she'd been ignoring for weeks. HeartSync, an upscale dating app her best friend Camille had insisted she try. It promised meaningful connections for serious singles. Angela scoffed at the tagline, but something in her heart flickered. She clicked, Create Profile. It took less than 15 minutes. Her profile photo was a candid Camille had taken of her last spring. Natural curls flowing, laughing into the sun. Her bio was honest, working mom, marketing nerd, lover of books, brunch, and brutal honesty. Not here to waste time. She hit publish and immediately regretted it. Her thumb hovered over the delete button. Then came a match. Daniel Whitaker, 42, real estate investor, based in Atlanta and Dubai, divorced, no kids. She clicked his profile. He was handsome, movie star handsome. He had salt and pepper hair, a strong jawline, hazel eyes that seemed to look straight through the screen, and a half smile that said he knew exactly how charming he was. His profile was articulate, witty, and respectful. He talked about building communities, traveling the world, and wanting to find a woman with substance, soul, and spark. Angela rolled her eyes. Too good to be true, she mumbled. But then he messaged her. Finally. A woman who doesn't list yoga, wine, or hiking as her entire personality. You had me at brutal honesty. She laughed. They began talking. First in the app. Then texts. Then late-night calls that lasted for hours. He had a deep voice, slow and confident, the kind of voice that made you want to lean in and listen. He asked about her childhood, her dreams, her fears. He remembered everything. No man had ever made her feel so seen. Within a week, Angela was hooked. Daniel told her about his work, luxury real estate developments in the Middle East, projects worth millions. He shared photos of blueprints, skyline views, beachfront condos under construction. He said he was wrapping up a major deal in Dubai, but would be back in Atlanta within the month. When I get back, he told her, I'm taking you out for the best steak in the city. You deserve to be spoiled. Angela grinned like a teenager. Over the next several weeks, their connection deepened. Daniel video called her every night. He'd light candles, pour a glass of wine, and ask about her day. He spoke with Marcus during one of their chats, telling him, You've got an amazing mom, kiddo. Don't let anyone forget that. Angela's heart melted. She told Camille, I think he might be the one. But Camille was skeptical. You've never met him, Ong. Come on. Doesn't that worry you? Angela shook her head. People meet online all the time. He's just stuck overseas for now. But he's consistent. He shows up. That counts. Daniel kept promising to return. Just one more week. The project's almost done, he'd say. Then, one night, Angela noticed a shift. Daniel's tone was tense. His usually smooth words came with a rough edge. Babe, I'm in a mess. I don't know what to do, he said, pacing in what appeared to be a hotel suite. My partner, my childhood friend, no less, he betrayed me. Transferred our joint funds into a private account. We're under investigation. Everything's frozen. I've got legal fees piling up, contractors walking off sites, and I can't access my own damn money. Angela's breath caught. What? Are you okay? He nodded slowly. I will be. But I need help. There was a long pause. I wouldn't ask if I had any other option, Daniel said. I just need $50,000 to retain a legal team and get things moving. Once that's in motion, I'll unlock the $3.5 million tied up in the project. I'll pay you back the minute it's settled. Angela sat there in stunned silence. It felt surreal. Her perfect man, the one who said he wanted to build a life with her, was asking for money. A lot of money. She told him she needed time to think. She barely slept that night, her mind spiraling through doubts and defenses. But by morning, she had convinced herself, he loved her. He needed her. And wasn't that what partners did, show up when it mattered? She wired the money that afternoon. The first transfer. Daniel was grateful, emotional even. He sent long texts about how much she meant to him, how he couldn't wait to come home and hold her. But 1 week later, there was another issue. Then, another. A customs delay. An unpaid subcontractor. More legal fees. Every time, Daniel explained it with smooth precision. He always sounded just short of desperate, but never pushy. Always full of apologies, promises, and affection. Angela kept helping. Her savings vanished first. Then she took out a small loan. Then a second one, pulling from her home's equity. Just until this is over, she told herself. Then he'll pay me back, and we'll start fresh. By the end of 8 weeks, Angela had sent him 6 wire transfers, totaling $250,000. And then, he disappeared. The first 24 hours of silence, Angela didn't panic. She told herself Daniel was probably in a meeting. Or maybe asleep. Dubai was 8 hours ahead. Still, it was strange. He always texted something. Even just a, "Good morning, my queen." By the second day, unease crept in like a cold draft under the door. Her texts remained unread. Calls rang once, then cut straight to voicemail. On WhatsApp, the green online status had vanished. She tried his email. No response. She checked his social media, Instagram, Facebook, even LinkedIn. Gone. Everything. Wiped. Angela's fingers trembled as she called the Dubai number he'd used for their nightly video chats. It rang longer this time. Finally, someone answered. A woman. "Allo," she said, her voice laced with a thick French accent. Angela blinked. Is Daniel there? A pause. Then the woman sighed, almost annoyed. You again. Listen. I don't know who this man is or what he told you. But this is my husband's phone. We've been getting these calls for months. Stop calling. The line went dead. Angela stared at her phone, the air punched from her lungs. No. This wasn't happening. There had to be a mistake. Daniel must have lost his phone. Someone must be impersonating him. But deep down, something cracked. She opened the photo album on her phone and scrolled through screenshots. Daniel in Dubai, in front of a modern glass building. Daniel with a blueprint. Daniel shirtless on the beach. But suddenly the photos felt off. Too perfect. Posed. Almost stock image perfect. Heart pounding, she dragged one into Google reverse image search. In 0.6 seconds, the truth lit up her screen like fire. Image source. Getty Images. Model, Jean-Luc Tremblay, French actor and fitness influencer. Not Daniel Whitaker. Not a real estate investor. Not a man stuck overseas. Just a borrowed face. Angela dropped her phone. Her stomach twisted, her chest caved in. A cold sweat coated her back. She couldn't breathe. She had been scammed. It wasn't a breakup. It was a con. She stumbled into the bathroom and threw up. The next few days were a blur. Angela didn't eat. She didn't sleep. She barely moved from the couch, replaying every conversation in her mind like a courtroom cross-examination. How had she missed the signs? How could someone be so convincing? The voice, the videos, the intimate conversations, the love. It felt real. It was real. At least to her. And now, everything was gone. Her savings. Her equity. Her trust. She told no one at first. Not Camille. Not even her sister, Yvette. She couldn't bear the shame. She felt stupid. Humiliated. She imagined the judgment in their eyes. You sent a man you've never met $250,000? But by day 5, the silence felt unbearable. She called Camille. Angela didn't make it past the first sentence before her voice broke. He's not real, she whispered through sobs. Daniel isn't real. Camille was silent for a moment. Then she said, I'm coming over. The two women sat at the kitchen table in silence as Camille scrolled through Angela's messages and wire receipts. This is professional, Camille murmured. I mean, whoever this isn't some teenager in a basement. This is a ring. Angela nodded slowly. I filed a report with the FBI's IC3 website. And I called my bank, but the transfers were international. They said recoveries unlikely. Unlikely? Camille nearly shouted. You've been robbed. Angela looked down. They said the scammer used masked IP addresses, fake banks, shell accounts. He's probably done this to dozens of women. Determined to understand what had happened to her, Angela dove into research. She found Facebook groups, Reddit threads, and forums filled with victims. Mostly women, mostly over 35, many of them single moms or widows. They all told eerily similar stories. A wealthy man overseas, emotionally invested, attentive, planning a life together, until the request for money came. The emotional manipulation wasn't random. It was calculated. Methodical. Angela learned a new term, the long con. And Daniel, or whoever he was, had played it masterfully. She posted in a victims support group, describing her experience. Within minutes, women responded. Same story. Same photos. Different name. Mine was James Whitmore. I was engaged to him last year. He vanished after $80,000. Mine had the same French model pics. I reported it in 2022. No arrest. Angela felt sick. She was one of many. This wasn't personal. This wasn't love. It was business. And she had just been another client. One night, curled on the couch in oversized pajamas, Angela stared at the blank ceiling and whispered, He never loved me. He never even knew me. Marcus, now better and curled beside her watching cartoons, looked up and said, Who didn't, Mommy? Angela froze. Then she smiled faintly and pulled him close. No one important, baby. No one that matters anymore. But deep down, something inside her had changed. She was hurt, yes. But also angry. Furious. Angela went to the local police, hoping they could at least file a report in person. The officer at the desk nodded sympathetically but said their hands were tied. Most of these guys operate out of Nigeria, Ghana, Romania, whole international rings. Unless the FBI flags it as part of a larger investigation, it's tough to pursue. Angela left with a thin pamphlet on online fraud prevention and a numbness that made her want to scream. Her phone buzzed that night with a new number. Her heart leapt irrationally. What if it was Daniel, explaining everything? She picked it up. A robotic voice. You may qualify for a lower interest rate on your credit card. Angela threw the phone across the room. Then she made a decision. If she couldn't get her money back, she could get her voice back. She started blogging. Then she went on TikTok, telling her story in a 3-part series that went viral overnight. Millions of views. Thousands of comments. Some supportive. Some cruel. But many said the same thing. This happened to me too. Angela was no longer alone. She began connecting with cyber investigators, journalists, and former victims. One cybersecurity expert, a Nigerian-born woman named Saad, messaged her directly. I know this ring. I've tracked them before. If you want help, I'll guide you. Angela agreed. She didn't care about revenge, she wanted justice. For herself. For the women who'd lost more than just money, for those who lost trust, identity, peace of mind. And maybe, just maybe, she could stop it from happening to someone else. The man who scammed her was a ghost. But now, Angela Price was no longer a victim. She was going to expose. Angela Price no longer cried when she talked about him. By the time her story aired on Atlanta Today, she had told it a dozen times, to friends, reporters, investigators, even a local churchwomen's group. Each time she spoke, the sting faded just a little more. She wasn't just recounting what happened to her, she was reclaiming control over it. And people were listening. The viral TikTok video she posted, raw, honest, unfiltered, racked up 4.2 million views in 1 week. She titled the series, "I Was in Love with a Man Who Never Existed." The first video showed her with no makeup, sitting at her kitchen table, explaining how she fell in love with Daniel Whitaker, a man who turned out to be nothing more than a fake name and a stolen set of photos. The internet exploded. Women messaged her from all over the world, Boston, Johannesburg, London, even Tokyo. Some had lost thousands, others had lost their homes, and a few admitted they'd never told anyone until Angela gave them the courage to. That's when she realized, this wasn't just about her anymore. Angela and Camille co-founded a non-profit in her basement. They called it Hearts Unbroken. Its mission was simple, to educate, support, and advocate for victims of online romance scams. It started as a modest website with resources, red flag checklists, and a community forum. But within 3 months, it had grown into a national support network. Angela's face was everywhere. Local news, podcasts, Zoom conferences for women's groups. She even sat down with CNN for a segment titled The Digital Love Trap: How Romance Scams Are Costing Americans Billions. But behind the scenes, she was still chasing closure. She wanted to know who Daniel really was. Not the voice, not the photos, but the real person behind the lies. That's where Saad came in. Saad Okonkwo was a digital forensics analyst who had grown up in Lagos, Nigeria, the very region where many of these romance scam rings operated. She had left the country in her teens and now worked as a consultant for NGOs specializing in cybercrime. Through the Victims Forum, she reached out to Angela with a simple message. "I think I know who did this. And I think I can help you prove it." They scheduled a Zoom call. Saad, calm and sharp-eyed, showed Angela a slideshow of information she'd compiled from IP logs, digital breadcrumbs, and regional scam tactics. It turned out that Daniel had likely been part of a 6-man syndicate known online as the Golden Lovers. They had used the same fake photos, the same investment schemes, and the same emotionally manipulative scripts on women across North America and Europe. One member in particular stood out. A man named Obinna Chukwu, 28, from Enugu, Nigeria. He'd been arrested in the past for wire fraud but released without charges due to lack of evidence. Saad believed Obinna, or someone in his circle, was behind Daniel Whitaker. She traced several of the emails Angela had received back to servers previously linked to Obinna's digital footprint. Angela's jaw clenched. She stared at the screen. So, he's real. He has a face. A name. Saad nodded. And he's still active. We have victims coming in just this week. Angela exhaled. We need to stop him. But there was a problem. Obinna was protected by geography and by bureaucracy. He operated from cyber cafes and encrypted devices in a region where corruption was common and extradition nearly impossible. Angela contacted the FBI again, this time armed with Saada's findings. The agent she spoke to sounded impressed, even sympathetic, but explained the usual red tape. We're seeing more of these cases now. But international prosecution is still difficult. If he crosses into a country we have better cooperation with, we may have a shot. Angela hung up the phone feeling like justice was always one border too far. So she changed tactics. Instead of chasing one man, she would shine a light on all of them. Angela began working with a documentary team. They followed her daily life, parenting Marcus, running Hearts Unbroken, speaking at conferences. But they also dug deep into the global scamming underworld. Interviews with victims, cyber experts, even a remorseful former scammer in Ghana who admitted, "We target lonely women. That's the truth. We read psychology blogs. We study patterns. We use scripts that trigger emotion. It's a business." The documentary was released on Netflix 6 months later under the title, Ghost Lovers, the billion-dollar romance scam industry. It went viral. Angela became the face of a movement. Then, something unexpected happened. One evening, Camille barged into Angela's living room, waving her phone. "You're not gonna believe this." She showed her a news alert from The Guardian, Nigeria. Romance scam syndicate raided in Lagos, 6 arrested. Authorities say suspects linked to multi-million-dollar fraud ring targeting Western women. Angela's mouth dropped. Obinna Chukwu was among the men pictured, face down, hands cuffed. Angela stared at his face for a long time. He didn't look like a mastermind. He didn't even look evil. He looked ordinary, young. But what he'd done had destroyed lives. She didn't feel joy. She didn't feel relief. She just felt finished. Angela never got her $250,000 back. The banks couldn't reverse international wires. The FBI said asset recovery would be difficult at best. But for her, the real currency wasn't the money. It was the story, the movement, the mission that followed. She went back to her normal life, packing Marcus's lunch, sending emails for her marketing job, walking through Trader Joe's like any other mom. But she was different now. Stronger. Sharper. Unafraid. One spring afternoon, Angela spoke at a women's conference in Washington, D.C. Hundreds of women filled the room, some survivors of scams, others there to learn. Angela stood at the podium, microphone in hand, and said, "I was conned. I was manipulated. I lost money I may never get back. But here's what I didn't lose: my worth, my intelligence, my ability to heal. And I refuse to let shame silence me." The room erupted in applause. As she walked off stage, a woman grabbed her hand with tears in her eyes. "I was about to send a man $20,000. Then I saw your documentary. You saved me." Angela smiled softly. Then it was all worth it. The man she loved never existed. But the woman she became afterward? She was real. She was powerful. And she wasn't going anywhere.